Alright, so in this video we're going to go over the operation of this Crenova 1080p projector, and I'm going to simplify things. I'm not going to use the remote. I'm just going to do it right off of the device itself. So I did an unboxing video and we talked about some of the stuff, but here's where you're going to do some of your different inputs. You've got USBs, multiple HDMIs, okay? So if I actually had a device plugged into this, this is where it would go. So you got the HDMIs, USBs, a VGA connector for a computer. Then we've got one of these is AV, and the other I believe is a headphone jack, power supply, and that is really about all. Now, to adjust the height of this, we've got a single foot here, okay? So you would basically fasten that clockwise, counterclockwise to move it up and down. All right, we'll get into focus and keystone in a moment, and the menu system. So pretty simple to use this thing. We're going to start with turning on the power. And you see the light went green. There it is on the screen. I'm going to turn off the backlights. I think we'll get enough light from this light that I have on the camera. Alright, so we've got that. So first thing we want to do is take the sides of our screen here, and we want these to be perfectly vertical, right? So what you're going to do for that is use this thing called keystroke right there, keystone, and you're going to go back and forth, okay? So this is what I'm doing. I'm moving it back and forth, and basically right about there I think is probably pretty good. Now we're probably going to work on the focus, right? Because if we come up here close, you can't even read what that says, right? So I'm going to come back to the projector. I'm going to adjust the focus by moving this back and forth, okay, until I find the perfect setting for it. And boom, that's pretty decent focus. Now, if this was further back, now if I move this back from where it is, all those settings are going to go haywire, right? So let's go ahead and do that. So our keystone is off a little bit. Focus actually stayed pretty good. So we're going to adjust the keystone, and I'm going to adjust the focus, and I think I have it. All right, so there is that. Now we want to go in and look at the menu, and you've got different picture modes you can change here, so I can click on OK. This is where I would go to change up, you know, how bright it is, if I want to change the settings, if we want to do vivid. And this user is where you would go if you want to custom do it. So if there was a bit of light on in the room, you would go in here and adjust the brightness and make it a little brighter. In this case, you know, we've got a pretty dark room, so we don't really need it. Now, I did have the projector perfectly level, so that's the only negative with having 1 foot, is I can't just jack up one side to make it perfectly level, but we can work on that. And probably what happened is when I moved the table, it is now cocked at an angle to the wall, not perfectly 45. Or the fact I weigh so much, if I step close to a leg, it actually moves a little bit. So that's part of that. All right. Now back to the kick out of that. So we have color temperature. You can adjust that if you want to. We're not going to mess with that. And you can also change up the red, green, and blue in there. Aspect ratio. So depending on the type of movie that you have, 16:9, 16:9 is most common these days for the new movies. 4:3, you know, is back in the day, right? So most of the time, just leave it on auto, and you won't have to mess with it. So projection mode. If for some reason you needed to put your picture upside down, mirror it, the one previous this was mirrored and upside down. This is mirrored, and or have it back to normal. Now, image size, reduce image size. Now this is pretty cool. So you see on the wall here, and I did have a screen up here, and I took it down because I really didn't like it, but you see I have a receptacle right there, right? So let's say I want to avoid that receptacle. I would go in there and adjust the arrows, and I think I'm going the wrong direction. Alright, so actually that didn't do anything. Hopefully I edit that out. Alright, so reduce image. I believe you can go in here and adjust the size of your image. I want it back at 100, so we're not going to mess with that. Now, let's go look at this, options. Nothing super exciting in here. This is where you would do a software update. I have no idea though, the software update, if you know, you'd have to go to Crenova, I guess, and look to see if there's a software update, or if you're having problems with it, would be a reason to go check that. I mean, if your device is working fine, you know, why bother, right? If I needed to reset this back to factory default because I screwed something up, that's where you would do that. Blending on and off. I'm not going to mess with that one. You can set a sleeper timer, which is always a good thing, right? If you're like me, you fall asleep all the time watching movies. And the surround sound, so the speakers in this, they're okay. You know, picture a TV that doesn't have very good speakers, but you can still hear it. That's what you're getting here, okay? This is something where you definitely want to hook it up to a stereo, and that's just the way it is, you know. To me, even good TV sets, I've got to have them hooked up to a stereo. That way I can really hear it nice and clear. So besides sound mode standard, you have music, movie, and I need to leave it on that one. Sports, user. So we're going to go back and leave it on movie because that's what I'm going to watch it at. Now balance. Looks like left to right only for that. Surround sound. Your options are one of these three. I'm going to turn it to that one. And that's it, folks. Pretty easy operation. I would show you a video, but unless I pull up YouTube, everything's going to be copyrighted. So in this case, you know, can't show you any movies. But I think you get the gist of it. Works really easy. I'm going to watch a movie now. I'm going to plug in my Amazon Fire. And I thank you for watching my video. Please like, please subscribe.